Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What it do, what it is, what's happening, what the business be, what up, though?
What up, though?
They
Okay,
say,
yeah, I see what you did there.
I'm familiar, I'm familiar. Actually, this is our second back-to-back episode with the Detroit native. But I'm your guy, Nate Bennett, riding solo this evening on another phenomenal episode of the Extraordinary Exchange podcast. I am one of 12 Black men as a part of the Extraordinary Investment Group. Y'all see the branding. And we are impacting our community through education and smart financial strategies. And I feel like y'all are going to get both tonight. We got a phenomenal guest. Um, Day one supporter of E.I.G for sure. Way back in I think that thing was called Clubhouse days. Yeah,
Yeah,
long, long time now. Yeah,
man,
feel like an eternity ago now, right?
it
But
does.
um, but yeah, she is the founder of Soul Care, holistic mental health practice that centers healing and advocacy for people of color. That's who we speak to on this podcast.
Wonderful.
She holds a PhD in psychology from Tennessee State University, received her training from the University of Notre Dame and Vanderbilt University. Currently, she serves as a mental health consultant and social impact advisor for MTV Paramount and the George Floyd Memorial Foundation. She is also a lecturer and mentor for the Harvard University Lehman Program of Creativity and Entrepreneurship. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister, she's a humanitarian, and overall, she's a healer whose love is her religion and service to others is her tithe to life. That's so beautifully stated. And I just read that straight off her Instagram
I
name.
know. I was like, I could read it with you. I was like, okay, we're gonna go
I
here.
saw your mouth moving a little bit as I was doing it.
Right.
But, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Dr. Calisha Brooks. What's going on,
Thank you. I'm happy. Ooh, snap, snap, snap. Hey.
doc?
No, but thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for giving me those flowers. I want to give you all your flowers. I really love what you all are doing in the community. I think I've said that to you all a couple times. It's beautiful to see Black men, fathers, husbands, leaders, business owners really being in position. So, and doing the work. And we need to see you. So I applaud you all for the work, the amazing work that you all are doing. So, yay.
Thank you, thank you. We're about 5 years in, and I was just explaining to some folks that weren't familiar with what I do, what we do, and they were looking at me like most people do, like, how do y'all do that? How do 12 Black men come together and do this? I'm like,
Mhm.
we're doing it all over the place. We're just, we're not trying to be in front of the camera. We're not doing it for the notoriety and the likes. We are definitely community based and wanting to see. We say all the time we want to be for us what we didn't have growing up, right?
Absolutely.
As far as men and male figures go. But yeah, Dr. Brooks, Kalisha, what should I go? What should we go as?
It's whatever works, whatever flows for
So,
you. You say
Kalisha,
Alicia, or say Callie, Dr.
you,
Brooks, it's
you
whatever
got,
works.
you got Dr. Callie on there. We'll go with Dr. Callie. So, yeah, Dr. Callie, give us just a brief synopsis of who you are and what it is that you do that's so impactful in the community.
Absolutely. So, as you stated before, I am a psychologist, I'm a mental health activist. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a lecturer, I'm all those wonderful and beautiful things. But um, the most important thing that I am is a mother. I love creating a legacy and modeling being a messy human, for my daughter. She's 11. And so just leaving a legacy, providing a legacy, creating a legacy of what serving your community looks like. So similar to you, there's so many things that I do on a day to day, but it'll never make Instagram. I know it's a double-edged sword. People are like, "Why haven't you posted this?" or "Why aren't you doing this?" And it's not that I don't want to have a full work-facing presence on social media, but I don't know about you, but when you're in it, I'm in it. It's like I'm just in flow. I'm not thinking about did we get this, did we capture this. I think about it afterwards, like, oh, let's get a picture.
Mhm.
um, but so maybe I need to get somebody to come, and capture content for me. But when I'm in flow, I'm just in flow. I think you made mention of it as well. Love is my religion. I just love being in the community, connecting with people in a real impactful and meaningful way. Similar to you, you hit on a lot of nuggets. I am becoming what I needed. I'm from the inner city, from the hood. And so growing up, I had a lot of questions that didn't have a whole lot of answers. And so I just continue to move forward and do the work and be a solution.
Amen. Amen. What does that mean to you? You said you're a mental health activist, right?
Mhm.
And as you're creating this legacy, not just for your 11-year-old, but there are other 11-year-olds. My daughter's 11 as well.
Oh,
For those young ladies and those young peoples of color that look like us, what does that mean to you? That mental health activism.
well, I have totally divorced the traditional modalities of therapy. Uh,
Mm.
it doesn't work for us and our people.
So,
And
all
so,
right, real quick, let's
okay.
go right there. What are the traditional ones for those who aren't familiar with them, and then what are the ones that you've adopted that have served us better now?
So I'm not going to totally throw it out the door. Talk
Okay.
therapy definitely works. Individual one-on-one therapy, it absolutely works. But for us, we usually heal in community. you
Mm.
know think about being at the table during holidays, or you as a man being in the barbershops. It goes back to that sense of community and how we may hear stories and be able to feel the energy of the spirit, ask questions, or see someone struggle, and the community gets involved, and the community helps to implement and support. I believe that we heal better in supportive, safe spaces. Now, safe is the key word.
Mm.
Healthy is the key word. Supportive, healthy, safe spaces. So creating curriculums, creating models, creating workshops and initiatives that help us to heal as a community. First, of course, that individual work, which I still think is done in healthy environments. I think creating healthy families is the foundation to a healthy community, a healthy tribe, a healthy nation. So really creating models that speak to us, that work for us. And when I say divorce the traditional modalities, a lot of the systems in which therapy was built in wasn't created with us in mind. There wasn't a whole lot of research done on Black and Brown people. There wasn't a lot of work done on understanding our trauma, right? Or how that manifests, what depression for us looks like, what anxiety for us looks like. And so I just don't think a lot of it speaks to our experiences. And so what I've done is I've created models, especially one of my trauma models that I did when I was at Vanderbilt University. My research was in race-based stress and trauma in 2014, when no one was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
There was only two people that was actually looking at that. Now it's trendy, but I started to do the work, and I developed a screener that could help white clinicians use when they're in spaces with Black and Brown people. Because a lot of times, again, we don't look at, I'm not depressed, I'm traumatized, and this is a
Mm.
symptom of what this looks like. Don't medicate me. It's like, support me, understand my experiences. So that's a little bit about what that looks like.
And I love that as the I'm just realizing I'm the OG in many groups now, right?
Mhm.
And coming from our generation, hearing so many young people throw words out like anxiety, depression, like all y'all don't have anxiety, all y'all don't have depression. Like let's get these properly diagnosed. But you
Mhm.
brought up a great point. It may not be that. It may just be I've been traumatized from my upbringing. And also something you said about love, right? Love is your religion.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of us knew we were in traumatizing situations because even if, in Detroit, grew up in South Philly, in Camden, New Jersey, there were certain environments I grew up in that weren't the healthiest, but I always had love. So I
Yeah.
didn't know that there were traumas or stressful situations. I just thought this is how kids navigated life. This
Mhm.
is this is what resilience looks like. I had a single Black mother that was doing it on her own. She taught me toughness, but these are not, I guess, healthy or what people consider the soft life, right?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of normalized dysfunction
Mm-hmm.
in
Yep.
these, things that we just grew up as normal. Like I said, I didn't realize I was this kind of Black until I left. Michigan, you know, and
Mm.
Pontiac, Michigan, Detroit, you know, my grandmother was in Pontiac, my grandfather was in Detroit. And so I spent, you know, my time split between both places. But in Pontiac, Yacktown is right outside of Detroit. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
it, but
I'm familiar.
yes, yes,
My,
yes. Uh, so yeah, so many things was normalized. And I thought it was weird for a person to have their father in a home back in the day. It's like,
mm,
live with you. I was like, that's weird. Like
right.
nobody had fathers in the home, you know? And so everybody had single mothers. And for me and my story, you know, I'm an 80s baby and we know what was happening in the 80s, you know. And so my
Yes.
mother and father had me when they were 18 and 20, I think. Um, and so, you know, my father sold drugs and my mom started using them, you know, and so just the typical Black hood story. And so you grow up seeing that and having to, you know, deal with things. I have two younger brothers. And so a lot of my work started to surround my earlier work was geared towards Black men, Black boys. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my work. I, you know, went to school in Nashville. And so when I moved there, I started to create initiatives in some of the youth detention facilities for Black males. Um, just because I had questions about, you know, some of the experiences of my brothers. The men in my life were incarcerated or they had committed heinous crimes or heinous crimes committed against them. So, you know, just growing up seeing all of that, but it was so normalized,
You're
you know.
desensitized. Yeah.
Yeah, it was normalized. You know, more people attended my uncle's get out of jail party. He had did 20 plus years than my college graduation. And I was first generation, right?
That's deep. Say that
It's
again for
crazy.
folks that don't understand that. More people showed up.
For my uncle's get out of jail party than they did for my college graduation.
First generation college
And I'm
graduation.
first generation. Yeah, first generation. And so, but that's what we know.
That's what
We
we
know
know.
how to celebrate getting out of prison. We don't know how to celebrate accomplishments. We don't even know how to fill out FAFSAs. Nobody taught me anything. I literally, how they say, got it out the mud. Like I
Mm,
literally, like, okay, I gotta graduate high school. Okay, I want to go to college. Okay, you know, and it was just step by step, trial and error, figuring it out, you know. And so, as we both stated, becoming what we needed, a lot of my programs are geared towards like mentoring younger girls, creating initiatives in middle schools, you know.
mm,
And now, again, my daughter's 11. I take her with me. I put
mm-hmm.
her in these rooms, I put her in these spaces, I expose her to any and everything. We travel, you know, but I also model being a messy human being so that she will also know what grace and self compassion looks like as we forever figure out life. Healing is a lifelong journey. So we never arrive. So just showing her what that looks like too.
Yeah, and I think my mom was a superhero to me. There were
Mhm.
very little flaws, and even the flaws that she had, I always looked at them as superpowers, right? I'm sure she was like all in her head, just trying to keep it together. But to me, she was everything. So
Mm.
at being more vulnerable is something I wish she was more of though. And now since the pandemic, having open, vulnerable conversations with our parents, because I think they came from a generation where
Yep.
kids stay in kids' places, even though we 80s babies and we grown, we got our own kids. You still a kid, you stay in your kid's place. But
Mhm.
now we're seeing that effect on us and we're able to have those vulnerable, transparent conversations with our kids, right?
Parents, yeah. Is oh, that is so powerful because you know, I made a post a while back and it said that I am um healing my inner child while mentoring, you know, my teenage self. You
Right.
know, it's like
Ooh,
as this woman now and I'm raising my daughter.
right.
Right? So it's like we don't realize that our parents also have inner child, you know, have experienced a lot of stuff. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I was able to hear all the trauma that my
Hmm.
mother went through.
Man.
And so I was able to see her as not just my mother, but as a human, as a little girl, as a teenager, as a young adult, having a child at 18, trying to figure it out, going through your own trauma, self medicating, what that looked like. And so, I said, you just garner so much love and compassion. And now my mother is my superhero, being able to see everything that she overcame and
Mm-hmm.
it's been clean since I think my late teens. And so just to see that with 3 kids, doing it all on your own, overcoming an addiction and, moving from Michigan to a whole nother state with 3 kids by yourself. I was like, oh my God, that was crazy for me to do it with one. So now I just see her in a different light. And I'm like, wow, you're everything. So yeah.
I love those parental moments when, and I have a few of them where I'll just call my mom and like, man, how did you do this? My ex-wife was in the hospital with my youngest daughter. Her water broke prematurely, so she had to
Mm.
go into the hospital, get admitted like overnight, right? And she was in there for 40 days. So I went in a
Wow.
matter of 24 hours from a two-parent household. We had our routine to me being a single dad with a job, and I was going to school at the time, and she was in a bunch of activities, and I was just like, man. And 4 days in, I called my mom. I was like, how did you do this with three of us and
Wow.
made it look so easy, right? So um yeah, shout out to the moms out there.
Shout
Gotta
out to the moms, the single moms. Y'all are doing amazing, amazing, amazing. And we don't have to be super women. Oh, it's okay. It's okay to
the vulnerabilities are a superpower, and
uh,
we see you as, like you said, human, and as even more courageous and strong when you're vulnerable and let us know that you're still overcoming all these things and trying to figure out life. So,
absolutely. Yes, yes. Very, very important.
so I saw Fit Care, this acronym Fit Care. Is that one of the models
Mhm.
that you put together over at Vanderbilt? Is that the one you were talking about?
That
Or
is one.
a different one. Okay. Can you break that down? What exactly is Fit Care?
Absolutely. So Fit Care is a model I created to holistically assess and address the challenges that we deal with in the Black community. So FITCARE, the F stands for family, family dynamics. So with that model, we look at, okay, again, similar to what we're talking about, what does those family dynamics look like? The I, the intersex of your identity. I said that for me, I'm a Black woman, first generation college student. I've dealt with trauma. Whatever those identities look like for me, how they impact me, how they influence me, how they shape and model me and my experiences. The T is for trauma history, right? Based on those identities, what have I experienced, if anything that has impacted my mental and emotional wellness or well being? The C looks at your community. As we talked about, we heal in community. The A, your access to resources, which is very, very, very important. Because we can tell people you need counseling. I see what you're going through. You got depression or anxiety, or you're a little sad, but where are the resources? How do I
Mm,
access this? What do I do now? All I know now is I got issues. Now what? This has made it worse because before I didn't know, right? But now I'm
right.
aware of it. What do I do? So, A is that access to resources. The R, which is my baby, I'm so excited about it, is the rewiring process,
Mm,
something we do not talk about because the FIT has created a narrative and a story, right? Your family history, the intersection of your identity, your trauma history, it wires us a certain kind of way. And when we have this wiring in our brain, these neural pathways, and I don't want to nerd out because I can't go down my rabbit hole, but again, this is my baby. Um, it creates these neural pathways. And unless those things are rewired, you're going to continue to repeat the same patterns over and over and over again. You're going to continue to live from that trauma history. You're going to continue to operate from that lens. So that's something that we definitely don't talk about. It's not the sexy thing to talk about on social media or even in some therapy rooms. And that's why I say I'm doing my own thing, right? Rewiring our experiences.
mm.
So where am I? I'm CARE. And E
Yeah.
is combining it all with education, right?
Mm,
So bringing, again, what does the neuroplasticity, those big words, breaking them down, What does depression and anxiety look like in you, knowing that it's a chemical cocktail that goes on in your body. So when we're having a thought, feeling, and emotion, it's not just a thought, feeling, emotion. There's actual chemical experience, you know, that's going on here. This is why a lot of people self-medicate, because
Mm.
it's a chemical component. This is where you see people ODing and, can't function without alcohol or without substances, because it is a chemical component that's going on in their bodies. And when they bring in the other substance, they kind of feel more mellowed out, or they are able to escape into those feelings or those experiences. And so, yeah, that's fit care in a nutshell. And I've done a lot of work in a community based on, those models. And a lot of what I'm doing with this journal is really putting the exercises that I've created, because I've developed like different exercises, guided meditations, and experiences to help rewire people's experiences.
Mm.
One I call is, I love it, it's called airplane mode.
Okay.
And it helps people to separate their the facts from the fiction to the truth, right? Because
Mm.
there's a difference between facts, fiction, and truth. And I lead people in this guided meditation where I have them imagine that they're in an airplane, right? You're in this airplane, and right now you're in where? Maryland? You're
I'm in Virginia, yeah, DMV area. Mm-hmm.
DMV. You're somewhere there in an airplane, right? And you're taking off. And while you're taking off, there's a storm system that's going on in that city, right? So it's raining, it's dark, it's hailing, there's a lot of wind and turbulence. And as you're going high, high, high up into the sky, you're feeling all of that. You look out the window, you see the wind, you see the rain, you feel it while you're in an airplane. And you kind of clench your eyes and your fists, and you're like, oh my God, this airplane is rumbling and tumbling. And as you keep going high, high, high up into the sky, eventually you hit a plateau. And then you kind of open your eyes, and all of a sudden it's peaceful.
Mm.
Turbulence stopped, the wind stopped. And then you open up your window and you look out and you see the sky is blue, the sun is shining, right? And that sky being blue and that sunshine that shining, it represents your truth. That thing that was always there, no matter what the storm told you that went on with your senses, right? And so a lot of times we don't know how to access our truths in life, even in our experiences. So I help people to figure out what is true for me, what is my truth, what are my core beliefs, values, purpose,
Mm.
visions, and missions, right? What are those things? So no matter what's going on in life, I can start accessing what I call airplane mode. When I'm in airplane mode, I'm untouchable. Like I don't care what happens, what comes, what I'm like, you can't reach me unless you're on this level. You
Mm.
can't communicate with me unless you're on this level with me. And those higher things, you know how they talk about high level conversations or
Sure.
higher level vibrations or experiences. For me, it's the spirit. Where am I in the spiritual realm? Like I'm in these higher places that unless you can communicate with me here, I can't relate. So helping people to access those places within themselves, knowing that it's a difference between the facts, which we experience through our senses. The facts often give us fiction. It lies to us. It's,
Mm-hmm.
oh, because this is happening, you'll forever be sick, or because you're divorced, you will forever be alone, you're damaged, or because you're a single whatever, or because you lost all of this financially. All the lies. That's the fiction. But when you have truth, it's like spades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Don't get me in my hood bag.
I was just playing spades. What Super Bowl? Super Bowl had a good little spades tournament.
Oh, we can preach a whole sermon on spades. But yeah, when you
Can we? You a nice
tiny,
spades player like that?
what? Man,
Hey,
I talk the most trash. So
okay,
people,
for
they
sure.
don't like me coming.
We'll get along just fine on the spades table then, for sure. Because you're not playing spades if you're not talking some kind of trash, for sure.
Hey,
That's a beautiful fit here. I thought the R for a second was going to be religion because I know, just that spirituality of it all. But we understand, like, if you don't necessarily subscribe to anything, or how you would tap into that R. So,
yeah, and that's why I say it's the truth, right?
hmm,
So helping people find their truth. Like I know I have my own belief system.
right,
A people don't. They adhere to other things, or they have their own belief that they want to believe, great. But what is true for you? That's why it's so important. What is true for you? So even as we go through that rewiring process, they can tap into their truths, right? And so let's, similar to when you have to upgrade your iPhone or your Android, right? Because
Mm.
got that green thing going on. You know, whatever, whenever you have to upgrade, you have to get a new system downloaded.
It's a
It's
great
similar,
analogy.
right? It's like, okay, let me get this new system. So when you have your truths in place and you're grounded in it, when other things come about, you can keep rewiring, you can keep upgrading. Yeah, you can keep bringing that in.
I love that. I'm trying to not make it obvious that I'm taking notes, but I'm sure the listeners will have a bunch of notes too. This is
All
good
right.
stuff. This is really, really good stuff.
Thank you.
Um, so we got a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the podcast. For those entrepreneurs, showing up and man, me, just being transparent, going through my divorce was tough and affected me as an entrepreneur, my productivity, my confidence, all those things. How important is mental health and emotional intelligence for entrepreneurs in this current landscape?
Man, it's everything. You know, there's a percentage of, I think it's like a little over 70% of entrepreneurs report dealing with depression and anxiety and high
Mm,
level stress, right? So it's very, very high. I think it's important um, for us to know. I'm going to go back to one of my favorite words. Even as you go into business, even as you're chasing your dream, what is your bottom line? You know,
mm,
what are those things that's going to anchor you? What's your why? You know, I think it's so important because when life happens, in which life happens to us all, what's going to keep you solid? What's going to keep you grounded? And one of the exercises that I use, I call GPS,
mm.
right? GPS. I love acronyms. I love
I'm
FYI.
from military, so that's all. I grew up on acronyms, so.
Yeah, I love acronyms. So GPS, and you think about a GPS, you think about putting an address in and going to your destination. Well, when you're going to your destination, anything can happen, right? You have roadblocks, you have traffic, you have dead ends, you have detours that you have to do, make. That's similar with life. But when you have that in your system, no matter where you go, it's going to always reroute you. So you're going to eventually get to your destination. But I break down the GPS. The G stands for goals. What are those specific goals that you have? The P is, okay, what are some potential roadblocks? What are some potential barriers? What are some potential problems that could arise? And the S is the solutions. So
Mm,
as I'm creating my vision for my business as an entrepreneur, okay, what are some challenges that could arise? Let me jot those down. Okay, but what are my solutions to these things? So even as life happens, take time, heal, rest, reset, recalibrate. But then you always know I can get back on my path. I can get
mm.
to my goals. I can get back to that vision. But when you don't have that, similar to what the word says, without a vision, people perish,
Yep.
right? So when you don't have that foundational thing in place, you're just unrooted. You're not grounded. You're not solid. So there's so many things that I could speak to about with entrepreneurship because that's a lot of the work that I do as well as I speak to, the mentees at Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one of the most important things that I tell them is don't follow the crowd, right?
Mm,
Now we have the Shark Tank,
mm,
when it
mm.
comes to business. And it was funny because I was on a panel with when I was at Harvard, the panel with he was the owner of the CEO of Zillow, right?
From Shark
Zillow.
Tank.
No, he's not from Shark Tank, but they
Okay.
had, they had before my panel, they
Mm,
had people from Shark Tank on, right? And then there was my panel where I was on with the CEO of Zillow and some other person from this university, not to say I'm not big, but I'm like, oh, look at me, this hood chick with a PhD, like with the CEO and the president of Zillow. But one thing that I told them, I was like, yeah, if you want to operate like a shark, you need to know how sharks operate.
mm,
I'm a
mm,
dolphin, you know, and if you know anything about dolphins and how they navigate their world, that's more so me. I'm a social impact founder. Money is important, but it's not my bottom line. Impact is. So you got to know what type of entrepreneur you are and be mindful of the circles that you're in, the people that you keep around you, the things that you feed your eyes and your ears and your heart, because it's going to impact whatever that bottom line is.
100%. So it sounds like you're talking a lot about character, about mental toughness, mindset. I wish I slowed down and was able to develop those because when you're 21, I thought I had it all together until I got to 25 and I look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't know nothing. And I got to 30, I was like, oh, you really didn't know nothing. But I was always looking for, okay, cool. Yeah, you talk about your why. I got a why, whatever. Just give me to the practical things. Like, what are the steps I need, right, to get to, what it is that I'm trying to do. Just give me a roadmap. I got that. The mental stuff, until life smacks you upside the head, and then you need that mental toughness, and you need some of those character building. You need, to take some leadership training when you got a group of people that you got to lead that you've
Yeah.
never led before. So all those things are super critical. So for the young 18-year-old Nate that thought he had it all together, slow down, take your time, develop yourself personally.
Mm. And we're still doing it.
And we still doing it, right? We gonna look back. I'm 42 now. I'm gonna look back at 50 like, man, you ain't know nothing
Yeah.
at 42. What?
We never
Nothing, nothing.
arrive. We never arrive, and I tell myself that, and I tell other people too. It's like there's versions of ourselves we have yet to meet.
Mm.
We have yet to meet versions of ourselves. So it's so important to, yeah, get the skills, get the tools, but also have a lot of self compassion, a lot of grace, a lot of patience, a lot of love for you above all. God says, love me as you love yourself, love your brother, right? This is love God, love yourself, love your brother. It's like we got to learn how to love um, all of that so we can show up well in life. But yeah, a lot of grace. We need it.
All right, real quick personal question. That just popped in my head. Um, what version of you are you looking forward to meeting
Mm,
going forward?
great
I've
question.
never looked at versions of myself. I don't know if this is a man thing, but we much of my life as an adult um, was attached to titles like who are you, right? We always ask ourselves who are we? And I used to have this old guy at the retirement home I work at used to always ask me that. And as a young 24-year old, I was like, oh, I'm Nate. He's like, no, that's your name. Who are you?
Mm,
Then I would give him a title. I'm a soldier. I'm a pharmacy technician. I'm no. Those are jobs you have. Like, who are you? And then, at the time it was annoying. I was like, man, this guy, if you don't get out of my window, I got work to do. He's since passed many, many years ago, but that's a question that's always, I won't say haunted me, but it's been in the back of my mind. And since then I've developed that I am love. Like love is
mm,
the legacy that I would like to leave in the world. But, as we get caught up in the world, I'm dad, I'm husband, I'm friend, I'm entrepreneur, I'm all these labels.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, what version of you are you looking forward to meet?
I am it's interesting because I thought of that book Michelle Obama wrote, Becoming, right?
Love that book.
Yeah, Becoming, where all these milestones you've met, you overcome, you've done, and now at the end of, supporting and her husband and being the first lady for, 2 terms, it's like I'm still becoming.
Hmm.
Right now, who else am I becoming? And for me, I it's funny because I want to bring forth my younger version a little more,
Mm.
like my more playful, fun, innocent, curious, adventurous before before life gets to you. Like, because to me, the younger you are, it's the truer. Like that's the closest you get to like your truth and your essence.
Yeah,
And I
before life taints you, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Where life tells you who you are, what you should be, or what you should do. And I'm striving to also protect that in my daughter, right? But we live in this crazy world in a sense. But learning how to just enjoy life, like learning how to truly love life, learning how to have fun, enjoying all the
Mhm.
things that I have, being grateful and thankful, being present, seeing the beauty in any and everything. Like that's one of the things that I absolutely love to do. Like I live off the water and I'm
Mm.
so grateful and thankful because every morning, I look out my window and there's a sunrise or a sunset. And I'm like, oh, I love this. I
Mm.
love bodies of water. It's like, so just finding beauty in every little thing. So really celebrating my younger self as I become older, but
For sure.
yeah, bringing more of that childlike joy, that childlike faith, that childlike curiosity. I look forward to more of that.
All right, you bring up again free flowing conversation. You brought up another great point. Getting to the younger you are, your younger self is your more true and authentic self. As entrepreneurs who are busy looking forward to certain milestones, certain goals that you set, what is a way to get back to your younger self slash your more purposeful self, right? Because I think a lot of us get thrown into different directions and we say yes to things and go along journeys that may not be purpose driven, right? I know my answer is always seeking God, right? And talking to him first. And if he doesn't tell me to move, then I'm not gonna move. But
Mm.
just what's something practical that a young entrepreneur could use to get back to their younger slash purposeful self?
So,
I feel like an acronym's coming. I'm
right,
kidding.
love my acronyms. Um, the world is really noisy,
Mm,
and so for you, you said that your go-to is God, which mine is to it's my everything. He is my everything. Um, it's so important because, and this is just my belief. Regardless to what you believe, there is truth that's always speaking. It's all
mm.
guiding, but the world is such a noisy and busy place, right? Um, I know social media. It's a vehicle. It's a tool. It's an instrument. I loathe it with a passion. I'm not a fan.
Really?
Not
Even
a
with
fan.
all the impact you make on it?
I'm still not a fan. I think the cons outweigh the pros,
Mm,
even based on the research that's coming up. Like there's stuff that people aren't talking about. Like, did you know? And this is some pop psychology.
mm,
The research is not being done here in the U.S., but there are babies that are now being born with less wisdom teeth and extra arteries in their forearms. Do you know that microevolution is happening right before our eyes?
that quick.
It's yeah, microevolution. And so just think about it. Yeah. Why are babies being born with less wisdom teeth and an extra artery in their forearm? This is all we're doing. Now you say that quick, but just think about it. 10 years, a decade,
Yeah,
right?
it's only been about maybe
Of
15 years.
of doing this though. If everything is touch, everything is this, everything is that, it takes about that time, a decade, for things to get communicated into our DNA,
Mm,
right? So imagine if a kid is coming into this generation and their bodies are still being developed, and as their bodies are being developed, the DNA is saying, or the genes are saying, like, oh, this is what we're doing more of, so we need more blood flow here,
mm.
talking. And so now we no longer need these teeth, right? This is crazy. We're not talking about this.
What am I missing? Where's the teeth come in at? Why don't we need the wisdom teeth?
We're not moving our mouths as much.
Got you, got you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not talking as much.
Wow.
Think about it.
No, no,
Text.
no. I got you. I come across the youth all the time, and they can't have a conversation. They looking at you. They looking at the ground. When we were taught, when you have a conversation, you look at someone's eyes. Like all those throwback things that we were taught. I still want to instill those into whether it's the girls that I coach in basketball, my daughters, because these are important things. Know how to count money, like physical money. They don't know how to count physical money.
But then
Um,
we talk about social media and we talk about the impact that it's having, the good. And that's why I say the cons outweigh the pros. We're in the generation of information, right? These kids are the absolutely most informed, but they are the most isolated, disconnected,
mm, mm-hmm.
anxious, overwhelmed generation.
Information overload.
It's information overload. And again, everything's a conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a, and like I said, everything's creating neural pathways, neuroplasticity. It affects our bodies. So we're not just having an experience. Remember what I said, our bodies are having an experience. We're not doing something. Our bodies on the insides is doing something. We
Mm-hmm.
don't think about that. So when we think about social media, this is why, I'm a connector. Like I'm a meaningful connected person. I will text, but I'm like, call me. Let's meet up for coffee. And I don't even drink coffee, tea, right? Or it's like I'm just that type of person because I know the power in it. I know why it's important. If we just hide behind text messages or messages, or now with social media, everything is the DMs,
Right.
right? It's like, this is like my text message. This is like that. This is why I move off of them, right? But
Mm,
it's so important for us to know that we're wired for connection. And
right.
when we do not have that, and I believe this is why we're seeing the increases of certain diseases that were as prominent then as they are now. Now, food is a big part of that as well, but our bodies have natural pharmacies in them.
Right.
So when I'm in community, when I'm in connection, the synergy there is eliciting certain things in my body. Now the dopamine, the serotonin is being released. The things that, when I get hugs or when I see a smile, the things that's being released in my body helps to heal my body. It helps to build
Mhm.
communities. This is why people that usually live alone have a shorter lifespan, right? They don't have these connections. So their bodies start to shut down. They start to age quicker. Disease starts to set up. So this is why it's important to say, hey, you know what? Yes, social media is here to stay. Media is here to stay. It's a double-edged sword. How do we use it in a way that's beneficial, right? It should not replace how we connect. It should.
Right.
It should.
And for younger folks that have never fully seen what real life connection looks like and the benefits of it, you have to just introduce that to them because all they know is screens. Like they're getting my oldest daughter's 22 now. I remember when she was 10 and her father wanted, well, just my stepdaughter, her father wanted to get her a phone so he can communicate with her and not have to go through us. And I was like, 10-year-old with a phone? Oh, no, 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 that's ridiculous. Now you got 5-year-olds that have phones and have tablets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of a societal norm now.
Just like phones, they thought the phones were the devil initially. It's
That's
like,
right.
it's so, yes, technology is advancing, but at what cost? And it's
Mm.
not just the kids.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not,
We,
everything is a conditioning. Now it's us 80s babies.
yeah.
I'm seeing people that were once very extroverted and connected, and I'm now seeing them, and it's crazy to see that they're now hiding behind the phones,
Hmm.
behind the accounts, and not even realizing it's like the frog in the boiling water. It's like, oh, I didn't even know I was here until, as the kids say, I'm cooked. I'm
Yeah,
cooked,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
and now they're in that space, in that place. And so I don't know. It's just, that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can go down. But I think even those of us that are in this generation, it's important to be able to model that. And I have to catch myself. So I'm preaching to the choir.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll be busy. She'll be in her room. she'll, all of a sudden the whole day has went by and she's in her room and I'm in my room. I'm like, no,
Yeah, something ain't
like,
right with
yeah,
this.
like, girl, let's go out. What are we doing? Let's snuggle, let's watch this, or I aggravate her. Like,
Mhm,
it's like,
mhm.
and she's like, Mom, I'm talking to my friends, or I'm this, or I'm that. So I tell her, I talk to her too. Every morning it's, I love you, kisses, hugs, prayers. Every night it's prayers, it's hugs, it's kisses. I'll just bust in her room and she'll already know, I love you. I
Mhm,
say
mhm.
I love you like a million and one times a day, you know, because
Can't
it's
hear it enough though.
important. And
Yeah.
not just I love you, but also, especially for girls, and you got girls,
Mhm.
so important for girls to know what makes them beautiful. It's
Mm.
important for girls to understand healthy body image and body language and all of these things. And so it is so funny. I could bring her here now and I'd be like, what makes you beautiful? And she'd be like, my heart. We've been saying this since she was 3.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It makes you beautiful because now there's all these messages that's defining beauty for you. And
Sure.
again, thing is a conditioning, and we don't realize it until we're already conditioned.
Mhm.
And at that
And
point, personality.
yeah, and I think that's always been there for young girls. It went from the magazines and the centerfolds to now it's on social media and it's on your phone constantly all day, right? So you can
Wow.
put down a magazine for some reason. And I think I just seen a study not too long ago talking about the blue light in our phone and how they intentionally use that because it's addictive. And I was like, man, they really, really, really got us tied to these things right here.
It's
So
been intentional. It's
yeah,
been
yeah.
intentional. And my research and well, my dissertation was body image and social media in African American women.
Mm,
Feel like I was
mm,
like, I think I hate it because I know too much. And during that time, what gave me the idea is I had a program with middle school girls. And I remember them talking about BBLs. And I was like, what is a BBL? I think somebody
mm.
died in like Mexico from getting like injections. And I was like, what? And the kids was talking about it. I was
Right.
like, what are you talking about? That was before it became like the norm. And I was
Common,
like,
yeah.
talking about? And it was like, so you can go and get these shots and it'll do this to your body. And that's, I think, when Kanye's mom had passed from
That's
some
right,
type
yeah.
of cosmetic surgery. And so I was like, something's going on. And so one of my gifts, and I thank God for it, he's just given me the gift of like, I don't know, I've always just been ahead of the culture.
Mm,
I feel like he'll give me a vision or he'll speak to me and say, hey, this is the work I want you to do since I was young. And I'm
right.
okay. I may not understand it or I may not get it, but I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden it's an issue with the culture. Right. So me being young, wanting to understand what was going on with Black boys. Because I'm seeing like, oh, this is what my brothers are going through, or my father's incarcerated, or my uncle just went to jail. Like, what is this with Black boys and men in incarceration? I didn't have words for it.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden this is like, oh, prison the pipeline, like, you know, and I was like, so God has always given me like the foresight. So I remember doing this research of body image, social media, and its influence on Black women. After that, I started looking at race-based stress and trauma.
Mm,
Right after that, I was looking at, okay, how do we heal as a community? So it's like, this is my work now. How are we healing as a community? How are we resting? How are we, this mind body connection, right? The way that we heal disease and the way that we heal our beings, like, what does that look like? So, but again, I can so nerd out on these things. So,
yeah, no, I want to be respectful of your time. This is going to be a part two conversation for sure. But we can definitely keep going. As someone who's in the medical field and pharmacy, I've always been torn with the retroactive way in which we treat anything in society as opposed to the proactive. So you're talking about the work that you're doing with body imaging. Um, I think we all understand why there aren't more proactive things to help alleviate the issue before the issue even becomes a problem, right? Like, why is everything okay? We have this issue. Let's. Um, I remember dating someone years ago. It's like 20 years ago, and she was um, a operator for the DC crisis line,
Mm,
and she would always complain about, man, why, like, we should have some kind of programming to help people before they get to this point. Like, we got all these we got the hotline and we got this and call, but what are we doing to help people prevent themselves from even getting to this point? Like, how can we be more proactive about that? And again, same thing with medication. Like, everything is a band-aid. There's really, we don't live in a real solution-based society when it comes to health and really living holistic lives. It's always like, on the exterior, on the extreme edges, and you're some kind of forward thinking guru if you subscribe to, some of those holistic practices, when it's not that complicated. We can
mm.
all have healthy, whole food options and mental health options and all the things. So,
Oh, yeah, it's a big difference. I always talk about the difference with uh the vitamin versus the medication.
there
Like,
you go.
yeah,
You
the
said all that to just you just perfectly encapsulated that right there, y'all.
vitamin versus the medication, and it's so important to be that solution where we are providing like the vitamins for the community and for the people. So the medication is the reactive, results of that. But when we can put vitamins into our communities, when we can put these proactive initiatives, these proactive programs, and just different things, and build synergy with that. Like, how are we all connected? How are we building community? Which is so important. That's
Hmm.
we're also lacking within our culture, is building together. Yeah.
We say collaboration over competition all the time. Um, and I think when you're purpose driven and you're aligned, none of us had prior experience with putting on financial literacy events or marketing events, or, a few of us had dabbled in the stock market, but not enough to be subject matter experts to where we have a Discord and we're teaching other people, how to read stock charts. But as we started along the journey, and then we're looking left and looking right and locking arms with those around us, we've really built a amazing, solid community. And I think if we're open to building with other people, being vulnerable and asking for help, right? We didn't try to go around and act like we had it all. As someone who used to always act like I had it all together, be open, fellas. I know, men, we do this, that machismo. Be open to asking for help. And along this journey, we just ask, hey, what do you do? Hey, would you like to collaborate? And it's always been yes, 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 yes. And if not yes, it's been, well, I can't help you, but I know so and so. And
Mhm.
then just from that recommendation, again, we extended family. So, um,
I love
yeah,
that.
we over collaboration all day, y'all.
Yes. So I applaud what you are doing. Such a beautiful thing. Need more of that. So continue the great work.
We will, as will you. Soul care. Kind of talk about that really quick as we close. What is it? How is it impacting the community, specifically that? And then how can people get tapped into all the good things that you're doing?
Yeah, so Soul Care is my baby. I've been in private practice for about 5 years myself now. I'm going up on my fifth year. Started in 2020. I know, exciting. Um, yeah, started in 2020. It is a holistic mental health practice where I just incorporate things that I've created and built, and things that I've taken from untraditional modalities, and bringing it into one place for people to receive healing. Healing is a lifelong journey. So with soul care, I look at, again, the mind, body, spirit, and soul, and just the finances, right? I think finance
Mhm.
is really, really important as well. So creating wraparound services for people. I do some one-on-one and individual counseling. I have about a handful of individual clients that I still see. The majority of my work is in the community. I work with organizations, universities, other private practices. I do a lot of speaking, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring. And so soul care is pivoting currently.
Okay.
It is pivoting again. God always tells me to not just read the writing on the walls, but read the culture. Understand what I am doing now in this season. So I strive to have my ears out to really hear what my next steps are. So we're shifting soul care into what I'm calling the sanctuary,
Mm.
hmm where it is bringing this vision to different communities where it's everything in one space. So you
Okay.
think of like a sanctuary should be a safe place. Everything that people will need will be there. So it's mental and emotional wellness, nutrition, financial literacy, community activism, access to things. So that's the my new baby that I'm building in connection with an app called Wired Hope. So
Mm.
as we have this structural place of the sanctuary, again, bringing this to many cities and states, connecting with people like yourself and your
Mm.
community, um, but also having a companion app called Wired Hope, where we connect different people and we also go through the models with the rewiring process. So those are some, as they say, some things in the fire that God's heating up. I'm cooking, as my daughter says.
Cookie, not cooked.
Better cook. I'm not cooking.
And is Wired Hope out now, or is that in development?
It's in development.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I went through an accelerator because, again,
Mm.
tech startup. So yeah, I'm getting into the tech space, which is like it's a new space for me. That's why I said it's all pivoting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know this when it comes to the visions that God gives you. It's like, man, the amount of faith
Mm-hmm.
you have to have, it has to be bigger than you. You surrender it. And so I'm in my surrendering phase of that and saying, okay, however you want to do this, I'm gonna be just an open and willing vessel. So that's where I currently am.
That's obedience, man. I love it. It's not easy, but you
No,
just
no,
do it, right?
that's
You just
hard.
do it.
God tell you. He don't give you. He just be like, we walk by faith, not by sight.
Yep, yep, yep.
And be not as though they were. So I'm really in that space of also marrying the wisdom of God, like the science part. And again, that'll take me down another rabbit hole, but
Mm,
the science part of the spirit,
mm,
right? So with all I can get an understanding, having that sense of wisdom in what he's doing, because we are in a very, very, very different space. Like he does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But
mhm,
like
mhm,
secret nuggets that are in the Bible that people just read and they're just like, okay, yeah, Jesus turned water into wine,
mhm,
but he said, "Greater work shall you do."
mm.
That, or when he raised somebody from the dead, he says, "Greater work." So when he healed someone, he says, "Greater work shall you do." I'm like, what does that look like? Right? So again, we just gloss over that. It's like, speak to this mountain and it shall be removed. Was that figuratively, Jesus? Can I like move mountains? Right? So it's really getting into like, you said it. I want to see you do it.
Mm.
Right? Okay. I'm gonna take you up on your word, God. You said it. You said you're not a man that you should lie. So really just like, okay, because I think we're in a season where we gotta see the miracles of God. Like there's no other options. So I'm in that space right now. Moving mountains.
We talk about you say you take on one-on-one clients here in society. Go seek help, seek a therapist. Focus on your mental health. But what I don't hear people talk about is we hear it in relationships all the time. The dating scene is trash out here. I feel like the the therapist scene isn't trash, but it's harder to find your person than people make it seem. They just say, "Hey, just go see a therapist, and that's gonna be cool." I've never been to a bad therapist, but it took me four until I found my person.
Yeah.
Right. So, as someone who's mixing your traditional one-on-one with the community-based initiatives, what are some guidance advice that you would give people to who want to seek therapy? Right.
Yeah. So, great question. It's one that many will ask.
I've
Um,
never been asked before. So I wish I knew because I was just going through like, all right, I know I want a black therapist, someone that can understand me. At first, I wanted like a fatherly figure,
yeah.
older black man. So I was going through those, tried that, and I was like, all right, let me try a motherly figure, older black woman, and then that was cool, but it just didn't. I found my therapist ended up being a younger gay black man, and that's where we connected, and that was my guy for a season of my life where I needed that, and would have never thunk it. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's important, like you said, it is important to find your person. It's important to find the right fit,
Hmm.
right? Because it is unfortunate that there isn't, what's the word I want to say? Because I want to be sensitive to this. I feel like, again, the traditional modalities of therapy gaslights people. It'll tell you this is what you need, this is what you need to look for. You'll hear everybody talking about how therapy has changed their lives, go get healing. But then you get out there and, like you said, it feels like it's just trash. Like sometimes those rooms can do more harm than good, right? You get in those spaces and you may get invalidated, or people may not understand your experiences, or you feel like you put yourself out there and you didn't get what you needed or what you thought you needed, right? Yeah. Or people are just like, okay, out here for money, or it just feels like you're another number, or, just so disconnected from your experiences. And my heart goes out. I hate when I hear those things. Um, but everybody's not going to be for everybody. So I think it's important for you to just keep trying, keep looking for your person, keep scheduling those appointments. And I know that that can also get expensive, especially if you do not have insurance. But I would also encourage people to first start with providers who are in network for you, right? And know too that traditional one on one may not be for you. You may need to look at people who consider themselves as healers. Don't be afraid of people who have done the work themselves and who are now in spaces to say, hey, I've done this work and now I'm helping people do this work. Don't be afraid of that. That's the model. But therapists, like people will tell you, be licensed, have this degree. Don't get me wrong. Like you got a lot of Instagram healers and doctors and Google folks. Like, don't get me wrong. You got a lot of trash out there in every respect. Like I said, I think this culture is kind of taken over in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
But trust, trust your truth, trust your spirit, trust whatever that thing in you when you first meet a person, when you first connect with a person, find out who resonates with you, who aligns with you, who speaks and affirms what you want to feel and what you want to see. Trust that. Trust it. And don't be afraid to step outside of the traditional things. There are some amazing coaches out there. There are some amazing books that have been written. That's where I started my journey.
Mm.
I'm a divorced single mom. I am, I went through years of trauma. I've experienced a lot in life. What started with me was picking up any Jan Van Zant book. Yesterday, I cried.
Mm, mm,
Was
mm,
18, but I will say my very first experience again with healing was experiencing the presence of God,
Mm.
period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized at a very young age that I was never alone. I'll never be alone. And my physical father may not be in my life, but there's a being, there's a presence that's with me, right? There's a presence that's with me since I was a kid. And so I strive to bring that to my daughter. Like I encourage her, hey, mommy's one thing, daddy's one thing, but let me tell you what's helped me navigate this space. And it wasn't, I didn't walk into a church. I didn't grow up in church, even though my grandfather was a preacher, my mother was turned off from it. We didn't grow up in church. It was me on the side of my bed meeting this truth that was my truth, that was my everything. So that was my beginning, was the presence of God, and it has led me every step of the way, every single step of the way. So it's so important to introduce people to, um even if they don't know that they're getting at the presence. They
Mm-hmm.
not realize or what they're experiencing. So, just but introducing people, and that's why I say love is my religion. Introducing people to the spirit of love,
Mm.
right? So when you come across the spirit of love and you experience the spirit of love, there's so much healing in that space. So I said all that to say is when you work with people that love people, that have a heart and a passion for people, those are your people. And you can heal in that space. You can get a lot from that place.
There you go, y'all. You just That's a mic drop moment right there. Those of us who are in constant relationship with God and just don't believe in God but know God and have that relationship definitely resonated with what you said right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been an amazing exchange. Um, how can people follow you and find you and see everything that you're doing? Cause yeah, your your DM's about to get blown up. This is good right here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Really, thank you. I am on Instagram. Uh,
No, not Instagram. Not it.
yeah, I mean, I'm there.
Right, right, right.
Forgive me, but I'm not gonna say that you're gonna get a. I'm gonna do better. I am. I'm gonna speak something different because that is a space where people go, and it is a space where people connect. So, if you're one of those people that would love to be a part of my team to create more content and to connect in meaningful ways, I'm down. But yeah, I am on Instagram as Dr. Calisha. My website is drcalishabrooks.com. It's currently under construction. I'm actually, as we do this shifting, it's kind of in a pivot place. So if you do want to get in contact with me, you can reach out to my sign up sheet, my sign up forms on the website. I can get your email and number, and we can connect. Where else am I? I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You know, all of those things. But if you catch me in the streets, that's where I really be. I be in the streets.
In the
Not for the
streets,
streets, in the community.
in the community, in the streets.
That's
Yes, doing good work in the community, being a light, extending your love legacy to the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Callie, for your time, for your expertise, for your love that you exuded here on this podcast. I speak for Case and Benz, who aren't here right now, my co-hosts, when we all say thank you. We appreciate um, the space that you occupy in the world right now. And yeah, you're doing good. Keep up the amazing work. Um, I am Nate. Again, I'm 1 in 12 in the community as a part of the extraordinary investment group that's impacting the community through education and smart financial strategies. This has been a dope exchange. There will probably be a part two. Y'all stay tuned for it. Go check out Dr. Callie everywhere that she can be reached and all the amazing work that she's doing. Um, but yeah, until next time, y'all be good, be easy, and be extraordinary.